Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Nudelberg, and I am excited to share the screen with my son, Marc Nudelberg. I'm a believer in process, and growing up, Marc lived within what I call my 27 rules of engagement. I wrote a book called Confessions of a Serial Salesman to that effect. But after a 14-year career in college football, he decided to join my firm On the Ball. And here he is, the president of the firm, and I get to interview him. So good afternoon, Marc, and welcome to the party.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for being the interviewer in this. I'm excited about this opportunity to share the screen with you, as we often do, and just get to talk more about our story and what's happening.
So when you say that we get to do it often, why don't you give some insight into what we do every morning on LinkedIn?
So as you can see on your shirt right there, we've got something called the Nudelberg Daily Huddle, which we go live every morning, Monday through Friday, 7:58 we go live, and we go for somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, and it is a true huddle. A huddle from, I'll take the word from my old football career. It's a bunch of really great people getting together and sharing in setting the trajectory of their day in the right direction. It's mindset, it's activation, it's how to think the right things, do the right things in order to be successful in your life daily.
So for those that don't know you, don't know me, give people a sense of how you got here, from high school football player to where you are and where you are.
Sure. Well, I'll take you even further back than that. I was fortunate to grow up in an entrepreneurial family. I got to grow up watching you build businesses out of the backyard of our house, and knew what it meant to be an entrepreneur as far as mindset goes, right? To me, it means taking responsibility for the result. As an entrepreneur, that happens to mean for the business. As I was growing up, that meant taking responsibility for my grades, meant taking responsibility for the chores, meant taking responsibility for my athletic career, and all of the things that came along with that. So growing up with that mentality, it served me very well when I went off to college. I was not athletic enough to play college football at a high level, but I was talented enough or smart enough to be able to serve the football team in some capacity at Florida State University. So I got the opportunity to work as an equipment manager my freshman year there. It was a scholarship position. It was an opportunity for me to earn my way into the industry. And I worked my way up through the organization, starting as an equipment manager and becoming a student assistant through my 4 years there. Had the opportunity to learn some unbelievable lessons from Coach Bowden, who was the head coach at that time. And when I graduated, Jimbo Fisher became the head coach, and he offered me a full-time position. So during those, transformational years of going through college, where I was coming home and I was interning with On the Ball at that time, I was a manager in training, and thinking I was on this trajectory to go into business with you after I graduated, here was this opportunity for me to do something different, to go out on my own, and to chase what had become a passion of mine. I fell in love with coaching. I fell in love with the art of it. I fell in love with the business of it. And with your support, said, hey, this is my one opportunity to go do it. Let's go do it. And that launched a 10-year coaching career where I had the opportunity to work with some of the best head coaches and some of the worst head coaches in the history of college football. And I learned a lot during that time. And after 10 years, of being a full-time coach and bouncing around the country, it was time for me to step away. And our conversation brought me back to South Florida. And through some time and working with an organization and finding my own identity within the market, here we are today with our coaching agency, a growing coaching agency, and finding ways to impact individuals and organizations on a daily basis.
I love that you use the word impact. I mean, it is the driver, always has been. The lessons that I passed on to you, I learned from my dad and my grandfather. So I want to flip the gears to family business. When people talk about a family business and they hear your name and they go, wow, he's the president, the gut is always, oh, well, there's some nepotism going on. Why don't you explain to people what your role is as the president of the company and how we've decided to move the business into the next,
So I think the best way to describe how I became the president or how I got to that was when I told you that I wanted to work for you. And you were like, no, there's no chance that you will ever work for me. We can work together and we can do this as a team, or I can help you build a business, but there is no working for me. I will help you build it for yourself. And that's really, I think, the best way to describe our partnership is, as you are the CEO and the principal of this coaching agency, there isn't any decision that gets made without us bringing it to the table. And you have challenged me to find new ways to grow the business into the future, find new avenues to offer coaching, find different ways to offer coaching, and continue to grow our agency as my own as we move into the future.
And I love the direction. I love the fact that you're building a coaching staff, which mirrors what you did in football. So talk to me about some of the early takeaways from your role, what you've seen in the marketplace, things that you're noticing. What should people be paying attention to? Because obviously you talked about me helping you get better. That's the cornerstone of how I built every business.
So I think what's really interesting about my career and the timing in which I entered into the market and the timing in which I stepped away from the football arena and moved into the business arena was business had changed. Human behavior had changed. What was happening in the world was different, yet most organizations and most people had not adapted to the changes. You, fortunately, had made significant changes in the way that you were going about operating in a business development mentality. The tools you were using, the philosophy you were bringing, everything that you were taking to organizations and teaching was different than what had been foundationally taught as sales and business development, and was completely outdated by the time that I had stepped in. So it was a really unique opportunity for me to listen to you, to learn from you, and to leverage my football background. For me, in the football world, I knew that success was all about process and routine and habits. If you could focus on doing the right things Sunday through Friday, you would give yourself the best opportunity to be successful on Saturday, and Saturday would essentially take care of itself. That philosophy served me very well, sitting down with you saying, hey, I got hired at this place. They taught me all about our product and our price and what we do, but they didn't really teach me anything about how to create new opportunities or how to develop relationships in this market. And that's where we really sat down and you said, I'm going to give you the roadmap. Here's the process. Here's the routine. Here are the daily habits. Here are your DMOs that you need to go do. And me and my coaching mindset said, okay, if that's what the process is, if that's what the routine is, I'm going to trust the process and I'm going to go put it to work. And that led to me having a lot of success very quickly.
So we've experienced radical growth. I've been in fast growing companies. This one is no different, but humble beginnings. When you first agreed to come on board and take over the presidency was actually March of 2020, March 1st, actually. By March 15th, the world shut down. It was very telling when you asked me, Dad, did I make a mistake? And you did not make a mistake. It was the first time everybody was on the starting line. You've captured that story, and it never gets old for me to watch you do what you do and how you did it, but you've captured that journey. And the exciting news is that you have written and we have published and about to launch a book that details a lot of this journey. So why don't you tell us about that?
So my book comes out in a month. It is titled Football, Family, and Failure. And it's leadership principles from my life as a coach. And really what that means is I've been fortunate to be around some of the best and some of the worst leaders in the sports industry, in the business industry. And for me, the lessons that I learned from my family, Grandpa Stan, and everybody else that passed down, Poppy, who passed down those lessons, and my football background, and then dealing with failure consistently, whether failure means losing a game on Saturday or whether failure means being fired as a staff from an organization and having to move on. Those three areas gave me a game plan and a roadmap on how to be successful regardless of the arena I was in. And there's a chapter in the book titled Zero to Hero, and it is really about what it was like to take over or step into a thriving business that you had, that I stepped into, that when the pandemic hit, we legitimately went to $0 in revenue. Zero, flatline. And where for me, I was like, wow, did I just put a lot of extra strain on you? Did I put extra strain on me? Did I make a mistake in what we were doing? That to me became crystal clear on why our game plan for success, the game plan you had passed on to me, the game plan that I had continued to develop throughout my career, why that was going to be so successful, because I knew what we had to do in order to create greatness from there, which was go to work, right? Go back to the process, go back to the routine, get back to your daily habits, and start putting into practice and keep in practice with the things that we would teach people. And that's what led to our success.
Final question. So you've been doing it for 2 years plus. You've experienced great success, great adulation. I know how the clients speak to you. You've worked with big organizations, small organizations, individuals. What are the key takeaways that we can leave this audience with that they should be paying attention in whatever they do in their business or personal life?
It's interesting because I think there's two answers to that, right? I think there's an organizational answer and I think there's an individual answer. For me, I go back to school and think about when we were in school as individuals, we got grades in every category. You got a grade in math, you got a grade in science, you got a grade in language arts. You were graded in certain aspects and then you either passed or failed. My background in building organizations, building winning teams, winning championships, I believe there is a report card for organizations. And I break it into 5 Ps, right? It's people, it's process, it's priorities, it's practice, and it's performance. And you can grade all 5 of those categories for your organization to figure out whether or not you're a high-performing organization or whether or not you are below the bar and not reaching it, and where you need to focus your attention on moving your organization in that direction. And then I would say the other thing is, as an individual, that ownership mentality, that taking responsibility of the results and understanding the 1% better mentality of every day that you wake up, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to get better, or you are going to get worse, because there is no complacency. There is no staying the same. So you get to choose what you do with that individual day. And that's really what we've built our business on, is the philosophy of finding a way to get 1% better and then helping individuals and organizations understand what that means and adopting that for themselves.
So I love all that, and I love listening to you. We couldn't do an interview about family business without saying, what's the one thing you did not expect to have happen from working with your dad?
I didn't expect it to be as good as it is, honestly. I didn't expect us to have as much fun as we are having. I didn't expect it. I expected it to be far more tumultuous. From knowing what I know about you and how you worked in other organizations, what made it so clear for me that I wanted to work with you, and I wrote about this in the book as well, was that I was raised in this environment of taking ownership, of setting a high standard and living up to that standard every day. And it drove me insane working for other people or working with other people that weren't willing to do that day in and day out. So I think the best thing about working with you is that I know that that's the standard. I know when my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock in the morning, you've already been up for a half hour, which means you've had a 30-minute jump on me. And I know that at 63, you're still setting that pace and setting the bar. So that gives me something to strive for every single day. I thought that that was going to be a little bit more, there's a little more tension there. And it's far more fun than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, I agree in all of that, but I think you and I spend a lot of time focusing on the process and the doing, not on the outcome. And so clearly, we're getting the results because we're invested in the doing, the journey. And if you listen to any of the greats in any sport, we're all sports fans as a family, and we look at success leaving clues. So when you see Kobe, and you see LeBron, and you see, Michael, and you see Tom Brady, and all of these great people, they're invested in the daily journey, Derek Jeter. And, so it never gets old for me. I love it. I'm super proud of you. I'm super proud we got this opportunity, and hope everybody here got a chance to take away some really good lessons that they can implement in their life, because that's being on the ball.